Hey, Shalom Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the elders, the apostles, the great millstone. Peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect. Those in this gospel broad lifting up the standard of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, wherever they may be. This is titled, Sometimes You Gotta Trim the Fat. Okay. Scriptures goes into casting out the leaven, because just say a little leaven leavened the whole lump. So oftentimes if you have like a yeast product or a baking agent or a particular yeast product, and you put just a small inkling of yeast in your potter's vessel, oftentimes that could corrupt the whole lump, because yeast is like a binding agent almost, you know. So what happens is, if you have a little yeast in a lump of dough or whatever you want to call it, that will corrupt the whole lump. The whole lump will become leaven. Therefore, if you want a yeastless dish, you can't add leavening to it, or you got to completely destroy it. Okay, and it's the same thing with this, with the truth, with the faith. You have contaminants in each and every brother's life that, you know, that may be sort of a burden, or it may be certain of a, how can I say it? It could cause a hindrance. It could cause a stagnation of mindset. All these particular things. But you have to know when to trim the fat. Okay, because the scriptures goes into, if your right hand offend thee, pluck it out. Because it is better to go into the kingdom of heaven maimed before you go in with a damaged member, roughly paraphrasing it. And that's a parable. It's not literally talking about cut off your right hand. But when they say pluck out your right eye, your right hand, you know, those particular things, that could be important things in your life. You know, it could be like certain eating habits. It can be certain activities you do. It can be certain that you're overly indulging in, mindsets, etc. It can be people. It can be children, okay? Which that's a very sensitive subject when it comes to Israel, is our children, okay? Many brothers have went to forsook their wives and children in order to serve Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man, because there's going to be a great reward on the back end. You know, though it feels pretty shitty at the present time because the emotion and the backlash you're dealing with from that. But sometimes you got to cut things out your life that's not a benefit, you know. Sometimes women, you know, sometimes wives and women, you know, brothers go through situations in their lives that they have to really completely let it go and make up their mindset, like this is something you want to continue to hold on to, because it will affect your performance. It can affect the way you do things. And ultimately it's Satan that's trying to really discourage you and put you in a complacency state of mind, man. Okay, so forsaking and trimming the fat is always good. Like when you have chicken breasts or whatever, you notice like a lot of people that's like dealing with lean diets, they trim the fat off of it because the fat is unnecessary for the meats that you're consuming. Okay, and the meat we're consuming is this truth. Okay, and we want a lean portion of that meat, because lean meats, it creates a healthy and lean body. Okay, it creates a particular chemical response in the body that you're more agile versus eating a lot of fats. Fats clogs up the arteries and the cells, and you could become diabetic. Okay, you could be high blood pressure, hypertension, all these things. You have certain illnesses that hides within your cell walls that can lie dormant for some time throughout the fat. But when you release the fat, a lot of times that sickness and that illness will manifest itself, giving your body time to heal. Okay, situations in life. I mean, I'm going through a particular situation right now. It ain't really nothing personal, but I had to make a conscious decision on if I'm gonna keep it in my energy or what, and I had to decide to finally let it go for good. Now, was it easy? No, it wasn't easy at all. And the thing about it is, I didn't want to let it go. You know, I didn't, because it was some type of I seen some type of hope for the aspect of it somewhere. But when I really looked at the picture for what it was, I'm like, this thing is not gonna really benefit me. I gotta completely cut it off. It's just kind of like if you like cupcakes and you know it's not really good for you, but it tastes good, but you got hope. Like, look, man, you know, I could hold on to this particular 11, but everything else is balanced. That one cupcake can it could be a choice between you living and dying, man. You know, So I had to make some very, very, sound decisions in my mind, and I had to do something that I never thought I had to do. you know, and I really had to make that move, and I really didn't want to, but everything kind of came clear to me as to why I need to do what I have to do, because it's gonna help my well-being, and it's gonna help the well-being of this truth in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. You know, some things you just gotta let burn, and trimming the fat, you gotta constantly go back to the drawing board, you know, constantly examining yourself. All right, now what can I do this week to improve? How can I improve this week? What can I do better than last week? You know, because the scriptures go into counting the costs. And one thing about this faith, brothers, what you're going to find out for you newer men in this thing is that this thing is all about sacrifice and loss. Okay, nothing remains the same in our lives. We're constantly changing. We're constantly evolving. Okay, certain things you have to just let go, and you got to let it burn. And you have to let it burn, man, until it burns for real. Because remember, this place is just temporarily. You know, this place is temporarily. Our lives here are temporarily. The people in it are temporarily. The kids in our lives, it's temporary, man. So you can't get sidetracked by that. And it's not an easy thing, because it plays on the emotional psyche aspect of being a man. Because as a man in this thing, every man, you know, wants children, so to speak. Every man wants to have a sustainable life. Every man, I mean, for the most part, want a wife. All right. But when you look at the dynamic on this side, in this world, you ask yourself, are those things really worth it? Or can they be a detriment to your survival in this thing? You know, because I was watching this Black Ram 313, man. Sometimes I watch it from time to time. A lot of shit he talk, he just be, you know, just vain, spewing a lot of stuff out his mouth. But some things he do make sense, man. But asking yourself, marriage, for example, do it really benefit men on this side? Okay, do it really benefit the Israelite men to get married and hitched under Esau's courtship? And you ask yourself, when you look at the pros and cons, no. Because when you look at the child, you may have a child with a wife or with a woman, whatever, and you may be together, but ultimately your influence over that child is not there. Even if you are there, that child, that your influence over that kid is not going to be there. Okay, it's going to be a constant bash. It's going to be a constant struggle. Okay, it's going to be a constant power tug. Okay, trying to work out a particular dynamic among family here. Now, if you have a family, then that's a beautiful thing. You can work with it, then that's beautiful. More power to you. But it's not always the easiest thing to balance when you in the truth, man, because we know that Esau's court systems are nothing but traps and snares for Hebrew Israelite men. Okay, and the woman, she don't really see it that way, because they're programmed society to benefit the woman's deeds and her mindset and what she likes to do. You know, it's all catering to the woman. So the kid would never truly be yours, and you would never totally have influential power over the children like you're supposed to. You know, and brothers go through that all the time when they want to discipline their kids. You know, then all of a sudden here comes the backlash. Don't be talking to my son, my daughter like that. And it becomes a problem. And then before you know it, y'all end up getting into it. You end up slapping her upside the head. Then the cops get called. Then you get locked away. Then she's out there. Then she go out there and she's dealing with other men. Then she got friends in her mindset telling her actions, what she doing is justifying. But none of them are telling her what you've been trying to tell her all along, which is witchcraft, which is a spell. Because now the mindsets are totally counteracting against one another. It's like a chemical reaction of mixed goods that's not healthy ingredients, so to speak. You know, like these people are highly under a strong delusion here. Like the Lord said, gross dark cover the people, man. He was destroyed, the covering cast, the veil that spread among the nations, man. These people are totally in dark and la land because they don't know. Okay, and you got the men of the Lord that's telling them, this is the way, walk ye in it. But our ways are being negated for the ways of everybody else, because everybody wants to do their own thing and not follow Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That's why when judgment comes and when all hell breaks loose, it's going to be a beautiful thing, because now we get to, you know, kind of flex our muscles a little bit, and the ball is in our court. Okay, because right now you have a battle of the sexes. The women, I say it this way, the women is against the men, and the men are waking up to it and they're finally doing something about it. Okay, now it sucks because men and women are supposed to be on one accord in all things, but in this setup, you got a lot of you women, man, you know, that got kids with these brothers and stuff like that. You don't have no type of idea what type of damage you are causing to your situations, man, by listening to outside influences, by listening to a bunch of miserable women. Because the woman on this side, she's not gonna tell you, yeah, you gotta submit to your husband. You got to listen to this man. You're supposed to be taking your husband's advice over the women, because the women, they have no advice to give. Because when you go to the table and you hear them, they all men bashing, they're all mad, they all aggravated, and these are women that's supposed to be in quote unquote monogamous relationships. You know, they complain about how men ain't shit and how men are doing this and that, but they're not providing the happiness and the peace for the men to be happy and to prosper the situation. They're not providing that particular dynamic. They complain about how men want to be side pieces and how they want other women, but y'all not providing the dynamic to keep the man there. Y'all creating a toxic environment. Then you listening to your girlfriends. Now you're moving the way they moving. You're totally cutting yourself out a chance of even getting salvation at this point. But that's the Lord creating a division, because the scriptures say in these times, the love for one another should go cold. So divisions among family, children, fathers, mothers, sons, that thing is big, and it's going to be a real thing, because now as we progress into this time, you're going to see a more division of the families, man. Okay, even among the camps, because now you look at it, the IUIC, them guys are totally going left, man. They're totally going off. You know what I'm saying? Asking for millions of dollars from Jewish communities to build hospitals and schools. But you notice the men of the Great Millstone, we're not really talked about like that. Why? Because the Most High is dealing with the church of the GMS, man. This is the house of the Most High. This is why brothers are being heavily persecuted. Like right now, I'm going through a heavy time of being persecuted, man, in my personal life. Like deliberate attacks is being done out. You know, I'm getting attacked personally. You know what I'm saying? And it just, the Lord, like, how you gonna deal with it? And I'm gonna deal with it how I always deal with it. Keep pushing until the Most High, you know, find favor and vindicate us. You know, but I'm gonna end it there, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. And with that, Shalom and the Baba Ball. Shalom.